Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning. This is Lani and you're watching Public Organic Forum by Control Union Philippines. And just a brief introduction of our company. Control Union Philippines Incorporated is a part of Peterson and Control Union group of companies which have a roots in agriculture and inspection and already is operating for 100 years, especially on logistics, quality management, risk assessment, and certification services. Peterson and Control Union still own family-owned company who's been operating for more than 70 countries in the world and employing more than 3,500 people. And Control Union Philippines is also offering different services such as certification in organic, food safety, global gap certification, and social audits and more and inspection services and others which you can see on your screen. And since nowadays organic foods is such a trend, especially on the internet. So right now we are going to talk about organic foods and especially on how organic certification work. So to help us enlighten on this topic, we have here remotely Dr. Kirti Mohoti to have a perspective from the academe, and I also have here on beside of me Sunera Vikrama Archie, our operations manager in Control Union, and also a lead auditor for organic and global gap certifications. And we also have here remotely Ms. Bincy Gwen Canedo, PNS Organic PNS Certifier, and also a program manager. And yours truly, Lani Belmonte, a certifications assistant for organic and other agricultural standards. So before I start, may we request all of you to put your comments and also your questions on our comments box so we can check it later on a Q&A portion. So without further ado, we will now start the Organic Public Forum. Hello, Sunera. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lani. It's good to be here. Yes.
Yes.
In the Organic Forum, our very first Organic Forum.
Yes. So since nowadays people are getting health conscious, and especially on their how the food they came from, and then there's always a connection about healthy foods. There's a word connected to it which is organic. Can you tell us about what is organic food and why there is such a trend on it?
Yeah, exactly. So organic is a term, it's a key word, it's a trending word these days. So everyone are like looking for organic food and trying to farm as organic and produce organic food and an organic certification. But actually, like if we go back in past, organic is not a new word or new thing to humanity. Like if you go back thousands of years back, like we humans, our civilizations were mostly dependent on natural sort of agriculture for food production. I mean, at that time, nobody was using like any sort of synthetic pesticide or chemicals, so no one was harming any other thing. So everything was like default organic. But of course, with time, with the development or the technical advancement, people were trying to focus more on the quantity of the production with the growing population instead of the quality of the produce. That's why like they've been using a lot of synthetic pesticides and chemicals and fertilizers to increase the production. But today we can see the consequences of these malpractices. In terms of human health, we can see the number of diseases that we are having, and also like in terms of the nature, we can see like how it's being exploited, it's being damaged. So that's why this organic concept being coming again into the picture, and everybody like wants to grow organic, and it's like all the regions want to produce organic and get certified as well. That's why even the main big countries like China and India in the region of Asia, and even like Philippines are like one of the top 5 producers in terms of land area for organic produce.
So thank you, Senera, for that wonderful introduction about organic certification, organic products. So maybe we can ask some perspective from Dr. Moheri from the academe of why there is some there's or people are turning from organic food from conventional food to organic, and why they are converting their plants from organic agriculture, especially nowadays there's a trend between there's a technology, and then why there's going to the traditional one. Dr. Maheri, can you explain this to us?
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. The question and the time given to me is to tell you why organic food and organic agriculture are important, and the scientific basis of organic agriculture and food, all in all, the organic industry. Now, if you recall the information in the previous slide, where the organic farmland and organic producers have risen by 15% in the extent, and the organic producers by number about 13% in the country from 2015. Most important aspect is the global market in organic agriculture is increasing, and it's reaching almost 80 billion euro. So let me now give you a scientific basis why organic agriculture and organic food industry are important, and how it provides the needs of the consumer. I don't have time to elaborate on the ill effects of the conventional agriculture, but let me start with the principles of organic agriculture. The main principles, as per the IFOAM objectives, are there are 4 principles, right? Now, one is the principle of health, second one is principle of care, and third one is principle of ecology, and the fourth and final one is principle of fairness. So that those in turn tells us certain issues connected with health, care, ecology, and fairness in the existing agricultural system, that is the conventional system that we practice since 1960s after the Green Revolution. Now, what is important to know is there's a belief, there are scientific evidences that conventional agriculture, when they are not practiced rationally, they might increase or support pollution of water, soil, and air, and at the same time, in return, it interrupts the ecological processes in the entire agricultural systems. And thirdly, it does not provide an assurance of a responsibility in agriculture that we practice under conventional system, and ultimately it will not provide a fairness to the agricultural communities, including biodiversity and the consumers. So, ladies and gentlemen, so that is the reason why organic agriculture is important with respect to the 4 principles that we are trying to assure through organic certifications. Now, let me take you through what we do, what we practice in organic agriculture, basically we exclude totally all synthetic inputs in organic agriculture, and then we try to enhance the usage or harness of natural products and environmentally friendly approaches, which in turn undoubtedly improves biodiversity within the system as well as in the entire environment, which will assure a sustainable system. And on top of it, we add another important area by excluding genetic engineering, the use of genetic engineering in agriculture, and also by accommodating and respecting social welfare and ethics in organic agriculture, through which the organic agriculture aims biodiversity conservation, recycling of resources, so that dependence on inputs will be less from outside, and which will again indirectly give us an assurance for sustainability, so which will again important for the farmer community, and then assures, as I said, social welfare by respecting traditional, ecological and natural agricultural principles. And there again, ultimately, the produce that we get in organic farming are of food of high quality and life enhancing natural systems that we assure, and more importantly, it will sustain valuable aquatic systems in the entire globe, and maintain genetic diversity and wildlife protection, and then reduces all forms of pollution, both air and water, and then soil fertility management and improvement of soil fertility, and ultimately a socially just production system in the entire process, from production up to marketing. So those are the areas where we aim at giving the consumer a certified organic product with value addition. So ultimately, the product that we talk of will not be a back motivation, right? Back motivation, but it's rather a networking of scientific evidences to prove that the product will aim at all four principles. Those are principle of health against the individuals and the communities in the ecosystem, and then the principle of care, again the environment, people and biodiversity, and principle of ecology, that is maintaining the natural ecological processes by promoting recycling and savings and reduced pollution, and then lastly by assuring a fairness to the people who work in the agriculture system, people who consume, as well as people in the entire value chain. So organic agriculture, as I said, is based on a improved, validated scientific basis, and what is important for the farmer and the producer is the readiness to give a product of certified nature, so that alternatives to synthetic inputs, alternatives to genetic engineering, or alternatives to any negative impacts that the conventional systems may encounter will be reduced. So with my experience as a scientist in the field of organic agriculture for the last more than 30 decades, what I feel is this is doable, but it's costly and timely, That is why organic consumers are ready to pay a premium for us. And with time, in any system in the agriculture, soil and the environment will be improved with time, and natural balance will be restored, and the entire system, including the crop varieties and the animals, will be acclimatized, so that the produce given will be of clean, residue free, and contaminant free, right? So that is how we can assure that the product will be clean and assured as a product that the environmentally friendly and organically certified. So last but not least, I need to tell you, while satisfying the organic consumers, we pay respect to the environment, worker, and the biodiversity. So we give added value to respect and just give a justice to the people in the entire value chain, as well as in all other communities in the value chain. So with that, I will wind up my my talk by saying, go organic, grow organic, and fulfill the organic industry. So I'm proud to be proud to have been appeared at this important webinar as a person from a country, from Sri Lanka, where organic tea has been first produced, processed, and exported to the entire world, and initiating research on organic tea as well as in organic agriculture during the last 3 decades, and also having shown best practices and good examples by comparing with the conventional systems to showcase that organic is superior and organic is beneficial to the consumer, the producer, as well as to the entire globe. Thank you and have a good day.
So thank you, Dr. Mohati, for that well oriented and speak about an orientation for us about organic foods, and also why people are turning organic agriculture. So I also saw that there's a lot of comment here in our comment box, that I saw that there's a lot of people who watching here in our live from different parts of the Philippines, like in Tagum, Cebu, and also in Ilocos Norte. And I also see that Terps Daroy Magbanua is watching this webinar together with his family. So guys, thank you for viewing us, and hopefully you can stay here. And then we also like to request to you if you could share this video so your friends can also watch this, and also don't forget to put a heart or like on this webinar event. So I know that most of you are now waiting about the main topic of this webinar. This is about the organic certification. So I will ask Sunera, our operations manager, about organic certification. And then Sunera, can you tell us more about this and what is the role of control union on it?
So Lani, as Dr. Mohati was also telling, like since this organic concept is being trending these days, like it's being demanded all over the world. So everybody trying to produce organically and sell it as organically. So then the question arises about the integrity of these products, whether it's real organic or not. So that is why actually this concept of certification comes in. With the today's competitive and demanding world, some sort of an guarantee, some sort of an assurance is given through this certification. In order to certify something as organic, actually certification bodies base on the internationally recognized regulations or international standards rather. So there are different regulations, different policies, different organic standards all over the world, and we got the connection back.
Hello everyone. I would like to apologize on this interruption because there is some technical problems that we have encountered. But I will continue the discussion right now. So I will ask again the question earlier. So Sunera, since you said that Control Union is giving an organic certification, and maybe some of us noticed that there's a lot of products that or buyers that they are claiming that their products are organic, but since you said that there is an organic certification and then they can claim that without being certified, Sunera, may I know how can we know or verify that this organic certificate is valid and there is an authority that who controls the integrity of the certificate?
Yes, that's actually a very good question, Lani, because similarly, since there's a demand for organic in the world market, people are trying to produce their goods as organic, and that's where the certification came in to safeguard integrity. That is actually a demand from the market. Market actually demands the producers, the primary producers or the processors to safeguard their products. That's where the certification bodies comes in, and that's where the laboratories comes in and do the inspection, the testing, and verifies and ultimately issue a certificate claiming that the whole production process complies with the organic regulations. So similarly, market also demands the certification bodies as well as the inspection bodies and the laboratories to do their work correctly as well, to safeguard their integrity as well. So this is where the concept of accreditation comes in, where the accreditation bodies are the ones actually oversee and monitors and controls the activities of the certification bodies as well as the inspection bodies and the laboratories. So they actually are in between the producers and the final consumers, where they oversee the activities of the control body. In order to certify and to do inspections basically for organic products, then at the prerequisite requirement is ISO 17065, the product certification which Control Union is having. At the same time, since there are different regulation and different standards, so standard specific accreditations are also required. For an example, if you take the main three regulations like EU, NOP and JAS, so Control Union is having the accreditation from RVA, Dutch Accreditation Council for EU, and for NOP certification we are holding the accreditation from United States Department of Agriculture, and for JAS, for Japanese market, For Japanese organic certificates, we are having the accreditation from Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry in Japan. So similarly, for various different other markets as well, we are holding different internationally recognized accreditations. Also, like within Philippines, we have this PNS standards, Philippine National Organic Standards, and for that as well, Control Union is holding accreditation from Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards of Philippines.
Okay. So since you said that there's a lot of accreditation for different organic standards, or may I know, especially on different parts of the world, may I know if there are organic markets in different like in different parts of the world, and also there's are any market or organic standards?
Yes, of course. I already talked about the main three standards, like the European standard, the NOP standard for USA, as well as the Japanese standard. So similarly, like there are world recognized or trending standards like the Korean organic standard and Chinese organic, Taiwan organic, and even PNS like locally for Philippines. And we actually, a lot of countries are having their own standards, like Australian organic standard, and Sri Lankan organic standard, South African standards. So yeah, there are similarities as well as differences, as I said earlier. Also, there are some standards which are like privately owned, standards like BioSuisse, Naturland, Demeter, Kraft. So these are like owned by private entities, and they develop the standard and they maintain these standards. So yes.
So that's, but since we know already there's organic markets, and also there's a different organic standards, but may we know, like I know our audience would also like to know who and what can be certified under these standards.
Yes, exactly. So though there are like a lot of similarities, there are some differences as well, like in terms of who can be certified and what products can be certified. Like if you take the value chain of an organic product, like there is the primary producer, the agricultural producer, and his agricultural produce will become the raw material for a processor, and then the processor process and makes the final product, which ends up at the final consumer, maybe through a trader or retailer. So actually all these steps can be certified. So all these people in these different steps can request for certification, and some companies may have all these positions within their company. So in that case, the whole chain will have to be certified. But anyhow, even though it is out of the project, the whole chain must be certified. The integrity has to be maintained throughout the chain of custody. Similarly, some products only can be certified under different regulations. As I said in the beginning, like even though all these standards sort of speak the same language and try to focus on the ecological harmony and trying to safeguard the ecosystem balance, but still in terms of products, like there are differences what can be certified or not. Like especially like if it is a trader, if it's a trading operation, then under EU and JAS standards, so those trading operations only cannot be actually certified. But like for EU and NOP and JAS, all the unprocessed and processed agricultural animal products can be certified, as well as all the forestry, livestock, beverages, foods, those products actually can be certified. There are slight differences in terms of what really can be certified and cannot.
Okay, so thank you, Senera, for that good discussion or specification about differences on different organic standards. But right now, since we already know what and who can be certified, maybe we also want to know what are the requirements to be certified the farmlands, or like our agricultural lands, as an organic. So this question can be suited, maybe can be answered by our certifier and program manager for PNS, Organic PNS, Miss Vinci Gwen Canedo.
Hi Lani, thank you for the question with regards to the organic field production. So once again, good morning pala sa mga participants natin. So now we will be discussing kung ano yung mga general requirements with regards to organic field production. So when we say production, it is on the land pertaining to the field. So there are actually two types. One is what we call the natural collection or wild harvesting. It is not necessarily so common with this one for the Philippine setting. Kasi mas common sa atin is what we call the cultivated lands. So for the requirement of the natural collection and wild harvest, so long as the practices won't affect the stability of the natural habitats. Should there be any harvesting done or collection done on the applied units? And then proceed tayo dun sa mga common points. Should the applied units or the applied farmlands are onto cultivated crops. So another point is what we call the parallel production. When we say parallel production, it refers to the same crop, but they are managed differently. So let's say for example, an operator would apply for organic certification sa kanyang 10-hectare farm. Pero actually, sa 10-hectare farm niya, ang 5 hectares is managed organically. Pero yung separate 5 hectare niya, let's say for example, sa 5 hectare, another 5 hectare land niya is nag-intercrop siya ng hybrid corn, of which being nagkaroon ng application of, let's say for example, application of triple 14 na fertilizer. So actually, with regards to that, ang management niya doon sa other 5 is conventional. But the standard is not requiring rather that parallel production is prohibited. So pag sinabing parallel production, it is required that that the whole 10-hectare farm being applied for organic certification must be converted fully. So hindi lang yung 5. Yung silang, kahit nasabihin natin na organic yung kabila, yung other 5 hectare, pero conventional kasing isa, yung another 5 hectare, matatama yung organic. So pag sinabing parallel production, it would require full farm conversion. And this full farm conversion, dapat may definite na conversion plan. So usually it would be 3 maximum to 5 years. So it would depend on the management, it would depend on the crop, and also during the conversion period, dapat merong mga records na nakatago. So ayun, with regards to parallel production, it is mandatory to have a full farm conversion. Then, the next point, ito may mga nagtatanong kung yung hydroponics ba is pwede. For EU and JAS, hydroponics is prohibited. But for NOP, it may be allowed so long as yung gagamitin na substances is makikita doon sa national list. So, yun yung sa hydroponics. Actually, not just hydroponics but yung mga ibang ponics din. Hindi siya pwede sa EU and JAS. But for NOP, it may be considered. The next is what we call the land being applied for organic certification must be uncontaminated. So, common sa Philippines na ang mga ina-apply na for organic is organic by default. So, in order to prove it, so dapat may history siya, may field history, at least for the past 3 years. And if yung in-apply for organic has experience na nagkaroon ng application of prohibited substances, so long as merong proof na yung farm has undergone a conversion period, so dapat ipe-present yon during audit. So, saka lang siya madedeclare as uncontaminated land if yung farmland has undergone its conversion period. So, 2 years pag annuals, 3 years pag perennials yung crop na identified doon sa farmland. And then next is what we call the retrospective consideration of conversion period reduction. When we say retrospective consideration, syempre paatras yan. So, when we say conversion period reduction, halimbawa for if yung applied na farmland is cultivating annual crops, so instead na mag-undergo siya ng 2-year conversion period, so pwede siya ma-reduce into 0. And if yung applied farm lot is having perennial crops, so perennials require the field with perennial crops require 3-year conversion period, so pwede siya ma-reduce into 0. So, ano-ano yung mga requirements in order to reduce these years from 2 or 3 years into direct organic status? So, first na requirement is there must be field history records. At least for the past 2 years, if yun nga, pag perennial yung crops na nasa farmland. And for the past 3 years, if perennials yung nasa farmland. So, in yung first requirement, it is the field history. So, ano makita sa field history? Kung ano yung management, and kung merong application of prohibited substances, kailan yung last application. So, lahat dapat i-disclose doon. And then, next requirement for the retrospective consideration is what we call the inspection. Physical inspection mismo ng auditor from a third party or from a certifying body. So, necessary yon. So, lahat ng mga nag-a-apply, lalo na pag initial, so lahat ng yon, lahat ng mga in-apply ng mga farm lots must be inspected by an external auditor. So, and the next requirement is sampling. So, during inspection, auditor, they are required to get samples from the field. So, plant samples po yan. And then, they will be sending the plant samples to our partner laboratory, our accredited partner laboratory, to test for residue. And of course, the analysis must be with 0 contamination. So, dapat negative po yung results ng analysis with regards to pesticide residue tests. And then, yung last requirement for retrospective consideration is what we call the third-party attestation or third-party declaration from a government entity or science agency. So, dapat meron pang isang party who would attest na itong farmland na to, they have visited it, and for the past how many years, the owner or the operator has been practicing organic for this particular farmland. So, yun yung 4 na requirements. So, again, with regards to retrospective consideration of conversion period reduction, number 1 is field history records. Number 2, there must be a physical inspection from by an auditor from a certifying body. Then, third is sampling of the crops found in the fields. And then, lastly is yung natawag na third-party attestation or declaration from a government agency or science body. Then, the next requirement is separation. So, ang purpose of separation is, number 1, is to identify the organic farm lot from the others. And then, of course, at all times, dapat identifiable ang organic sa hindi. And then, the next purpose of having separation is to prevent any chances of contamination by drift or leaching or runoff. So, paano ma-establish ito na hindi magkaroon ng contamination? So, ang pinaka-common na ginagawa is setting up buffer zones. So, with regards to buffer zones, the standard does not require any definite distance kung gaano kalaki yung isi-set up na buffer zone dahil lahat ay depending on risks. Even setting up barriers, depende lahat yun sa risks involved or lalo na sa neighboring farmlands. So, for the buffer zones, those crops within the buffer zone, though they are being managed organically, but they are declared as conventional. So, dapat may proper recording doon. And then, may proper separation, may proper harvesting. And then, with regards to the barriers, setting up barriers, yung iba, pag low risk, ang identification, pwede na yung mga fences, or iba, mga wires lang, barbed wires, or cyclone wires. Yung iba nga, ano lang, they would set up hedges. So actually, it all depends on trees. So separation, number one, the purpose is for identification of the farmlands from the other, and the second purpose is to protect the organic farmlands against contamination via drift, runoff, or leaching. And then the next requirement is the field history. So sa field history, it must be reflected kung ano yung nangyari for the past 3 years. Past 2 years pag annuals yung nakita sa farm, or past 3 years pag perennials. So during bakit kinakailangan yung ganung timeline? Kasi doon natin makikita kung ano yung nangyayari during the conversion period. So, during the conversion period, for the annual crops on the first year, ang term gen is conventional. But for the next 2 years, ang term na sa kanya is in conversion. Pero sa market, conventional and in conversion products are all conventional. So, it is just for the purpose of identifying kung kailan itong conventional crop na to would be undergoing its conversion. And then for EU and JAS, yun yung mga terms. It just differ on terms. Pero ang kanyang kumbaga ang value niya, it is always conventional. So whether conventional or in conversion, pagdating sa market, it would still be conventional. But for NOP, all throughout the conversion period, the crop would still be declared as conventional. And then pagdating naman sa field status, so first year conversion, so it is IC1. Pag second year conversion, it is IC2. And then pagdating naman sa onwards, so with regards to EU and JAS, pagdating after ng second year niya, the field would be declared as organic for EU and JAS, but for NOP, it would still be in conversion. Only after 3 years, saka magiging organic yung field with annual crops. And for the perennials, for its field status, as mentioned, EU, NOP, and JAS, it would undergo 3-year conversion. So doon sa 3-year conversion period na yun, if it is for the first year, it is IC1. Second year, it is IC2. Third year, ang term dyan is IC3 or in conversion 3. And then Only after 3 years, saka yung ang field will be declared as organic. And for the crops, makikita natin dito na yung AU and JUS, they are very similar. So, first year, it is conventional. For the second year, it is in conversion. Para sa third year, in conversion yan. Pero sa NOP, all throughout the conversion period, the crop would be declared as conventional. So, only after 3 years, saka siya magiging organic. So, all throughout this conversion period, dapat ang practice ay organic. And yung crops, during the conversion period, must not be processed, sold, packaged, or labeled as organic. Since in conversion siya, pagdating sa market, it would still be declared as conventional. Okay, the next requirement is about the seeds and planting materials. So, ideally, seeds and planting materials must be coming from organic source. Pero hindi lahat may access to organic seeds or planting materials. So, mga certifying body, they are actually giving an option. Should there be no availability of seeds and planting materials. So, ang entity, ano ba talagang, let's say for example, may isang existing entity pero nagkaroon sila ng problema ngayon sa crops nila and they need to cultivate for seeds and planting materials para ma-address yung concern. In such case, dapat i-inform nila ang certifying body na they will be procuring seeds and planting materials. So, ideally, dapat maghanap muna sila ng organic supplier. Let's say, for example, nangangailangan sila ng seedlings for organic cacao. First thing na gagawin nila, they need to inform the certifying body that they will be procuring seeds and planting seeds or planting materials for organic cacao or organic cacao seedlings. So, ngayon, they need to look for at least 3 organic suppliers. Pero let's say, for example, they are denied by these 3 organic suppliers. So, babalik sila ulit sa certifying body kung pwede ba sila kung pwede bang gumamit ng non-organic na mga seeds and planting materials or seedlings. So, in this case, pwede siya so long as they would apply for derogation. So, halimbawa, yun nga, na-reject sila ng 3, dapat nilang i-present yung proof that they indeed look for suppliers but they are being denied, and then they would apply for derogation. So, doon sa form, i-state nila kung ano yung mga efforts na ginawa nila and why do they result to the use of non-organic seeds and planting materials. So, pwede naman siyang ma-approve and only after approval, saka sila pwede mag-procure ng seeds and planting materials na yun. And then, they need to have a proof na yung supplier nila for non-organic seedlings, non-organic cacao seedlings, there must be a non-GMO declaration from that supplier, and dapat yung seeds or yung seedlings, yung planting materials are not being treated with prohibited substances. So, ayun, na-mention ko na itong non-organic seeds. And then for soil fertility management. So, for soil fertility management, level by level po ito. So, ang una is kung ano yung makikita sa farm, yun lang ang pwedeng gamitin for soil fertilization or for soil conditioning. However, if yung mga pwedeng gamitin na makikita sa farm is not sufficient to supply the nutrients needed by the crops, only then that the operator would apply inputs as allowed doon sa standard. So, examples ng soil fertility management, let's say, kung ano yung makikita sa farm, pinaka-community yung composting, green manuring, crop rotation, mixed cropping, mulching, cover cropping. And pag hindi sila sufficient to supply yung necessary nutrients, saka lang gagamit ng allowed substances as required ng each standard. Okay, so an operator needs to study kasi hindi dahil sa allowed siya sa EU, allowed na siya sa NOP. Hindi dahil sa allowed siya sa JAS, allowed na siya sa iba. So dapat they need to study kung ano yung common sa tatlo. Kung yung tatlong standard din ina-apply nila for organic certification. And itong self-fertility management na to, they must record it in their own farm diaries or farm record. Dahil kinakailangan nila itong i-present during the audit. And then for pest and disease control, so level by level nito sila. So una is preventive measures. Next is physical, mechanical, and biological measures. Then, if hindi kaya nung dalawa, saka lang gagamit ng allowed chemicals as stated by each standard. So, ito, as mentioned, ang mga common methods, mechanical and cultural methods, crop rotation, mixed cropping, intercropping, tolerant varieties, natural enemies. So, yun yung mga common methods. Pag hindi yun enough, saka lang gagamit ng mga allowed substances. Okay? And this pest and disease management, dapat nakasulat po ito. Dapat recorded siya sa mga farm diaries and farm records. So, makita natin yung mga examples. Then the next general requirement is the post-harvest handling. So, as mentioned kanina, na at all times, dapat identified ang organic sa hindi and they must be protected. So, with regards to handling, there must be a minimized contamination risks from the tools and other conventional goods. So, ang handling, it can be done. I-diretso natin sa storage. So, from handling to storage, dapat merong separation measures. So, separation measures either by time or by place. So, in order to minimize, syempre, contamination with from conventional goods, and should there be handling and storing of, dahil hindi naman lahat dedicated sa organic. So, halimbawa, they are both handling and storing conventional and organic products. So, dapat may proper separation by place and by time. And before handling organic, dapat merong cleaning prior. And this cleaning must be recorded. So, and also, there must be no use of disallowed substances. For the record keeping, isa to siya sa mga critical actually. And this is a very common source of non-conformity. Dahil hindi lahat nagkikip na record. Hindi lahat nagsusulat. So, it actually needs practice. It actually needs some push ng mga operator, ng mga clients, sa kanilang mga farmers. So, kinakailangan nilang constant training para masanay sila na i-record lahat ng mga nangyayari sa farm, tsaka lahat ng mga ginagawa nilang management sa farm. So, from harvesting, to weeding, to howling, kung ano yung mga activities nila doon. So, it must be all recorded. Lalo na sa lalo sa mga goods, sales records nila. So, mga resibo, dapat nakakip yan. These are all very common source of NC with regards to record keeping. And then is the what are the documents na hinihingi or kinakailangang i-keep, kinakailangang i-fill out, kinakailangang i-keep and must reflect reality. So, ang isa sa mga pinakamabibigat na document dito is yung tinatawag natin na organic system plan. In the organic system plan, everything must be disclosed here. Kung ano yung mga practices, dapat nakadisclose yan. So, hindi pwedeng future tense ito. So, present tense dapat ang nakalagay sa organic system plan. Kung ano yung practice, yung dapat na naka-reflect doon. Dahil itong organic system plan is one of the key documents na nire-review ng mga auditors to check if ito ba ang makikita mismo sa ito ba ang makikita mismo sa field, ito ba ang makikita mismo sa farm. So, lahat dapat i-disclose dito. And then next is what we call the field history. Ito na-mention ko na kanina, and the field specification. Dito sa field specification, ang pinakamabigat dito is yung yield estimates. So, dito, dapat maging realistic sa kung ano yung mga ano yung makikita sa yield. So, ang reference nyo sa field specification would be your yield estimates. So, annual yield estimates. And then, kung ano lang yung actual yield for a particular period. So, yun yung magiging basis for field specification. Farmer lists, farm maps. So, halimbawa, we have big farms, we have small farmer groups, rather. So, lahat ng mga farmers doon, dapat may kanya-kanya silang individual farm maps. But, let's say, since they are a group of farmers, so dapat meron din silang cluster maps. Farmer agreement must be available. Field officer agreement must be available. And kung merong group of farmers, dapat may available na ICS manual. And also, in addition to the general requirement for organic field production, it is mandatory to have an annual inspection for each of the farmers. So, let's say for example, may nag-apply for a group of farmers. Let's say for example, in this particular group, merong 100 farmers. So, lahat ng 100 farmers na to must be inspected at least once in a year. It is a requirement by the standard, but for one that is applying for organic certification, they must abide to it. So, those are it for the general requirements for farming. And let's say actually it would kind of affect kung magkano yung certification fee. So, yeah, that's it, Lani. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen, for that wonderful discussion about what are the requirements of getting certified for an agricultural land. So, since you also mentioned that during the inspection, we need 100% inspection for the farmers, especially for the newly applied units. But Sunera, as a lead auditor for organic, is there any, and I know that having an inspection will take a lot of time, and it also take a lot of cost for the buyer and also to the farmers. Is there any way that we could lessen the cost and also lessen the number of inspection or the number of inspection days?
Yes, Lani. So as what Gwen said, as per the organic regulations, like all the standards, it is required that all the farmers be physically inspected by the third party certification body. But like as she said, if we are going to do that, it will take a lot of time, and of course some more money as well, because the certification we are charging in terms of how long we are going to spend for the project in order to complete the whole inspection, the whole chain. That is where we have this concept of farmer group certification, where we get involved a concept called ICS, or an internal control system. So in this way, an external certification body can delegate part of their work of inspection and monitoring to this ICS, or an internal control system. So ICS actually is sort of a quality management system, and they are actually supposed to monitor and visit all the farmers in a particular farmer group, so that during the annual external inspection, the external inspector or the certification body will not have to visit all the farmers, but just check a sample of farmers in order to verify the actions of the ICS, whether they have done their part correctly or not. So in that way, we can reduce a considerable amount of time spent for the inspection. So also through that, the cost as well. For a ICS, like for a proper ICS or internal control system, there are some aspects that must be fulfilled, and like key aspects. Number one, of course, is the legality. Like a proper ICS must be legally established. There should be a legal background to an internal control system. Then only whatever the actions they are taken are have a legal validity. And also usually ICS manages a small farmer group, and there should be some homogeneity in that group as well, in terms of the crops or the social or economic levels. There should be some homogeneity in the groups that they are managing. Also, like as I said, only the small farmers, in terms of their land extent as well as in terms of the production capacity and the income, only the small farmers can be part of an ICS. Because if in case of a large farmer, then such farms must be annually visited by the third party certification body. And also, like there should be a proper structure in an ICS, because ICS should be having personnel, key personnel, and they should have their defined responsibilities. For an example, like ICS should have an ICS head and also ICS managers in order to verify and overlook the total ICS functioning. Also, like ICS can have an extension staff in order to train the farmers, in order to communicate the actual international organic certification requirements. So through an extension staff only these things can be communicated to the farmers. And also ICS must have internal inspection staff. They should be totally separated from the extension staff, as well as they should be totally separated from the purchasing and sales staff. So the main activity of that internal inspection staff would be to conduct the internal inspections. So they are the ones annually visiting all the farmers and verify and check how they are functioning. Are they in accordance with the organic regulations and the requirements? And also in a proper ICS, everything what they do, all their policies, all their procedures, for an example, like how they add new farmers, or how they withdraw or remove sanctioned farmers, and their way of training. So all these procedures must be documented in a proper ICS manual. And also all their recording forms, like for an example, in an internal inspection, what sort of format they are going to use for the annual internal inspections, and what sort of format they are going to use for the purchasing, the harvesting, and the receipts, and also what sort of format is there for the farmers in order to fill as a farm diary. All this should be there in an ICS manual. Also, agreements, because there will be different agreements in between farmers and the field officers as the certification bodies. So sometimes the farmers will only understand the local language, so translated agreements and all these contracts also should be there in an ICS manual, and this manual has to be updated regularly, at least annually. So these are the main requirements of a proper ICS. So if someone can implement all these, then a proper ICS will be there, and that function will be verified during the annual external inspection. So as per your question, Lani, so yeah, it will be a good method to reduce the time spent at the field, as well as at the end of the day the cost as well.
So Naren, now that you mentioned our audience are also the prospects who would like to get organic certificate, they now know how to get certified for the farms and also how to manage their farmers. But some of them are only, for example, only producing coconuts. And then there's is there any possible that the organic processed coconut can be certified as well? Or maybe I can ask this question to Ms. Gwen as a certifier for organic PNS.
Hi Lani. So yes, actually these these processed goods can be certified as organic. So ngayon i-discuss natin kung ano yung mga requirements for an organic processing. So this organic processing would be about from processes from reception going to dispatch. So first point is with regards to raw material reception. So actually ito, depende siya kung ano yung setup ng company. May mga companies tayo na sila mismo, they have their own farms applied for organic certification. Meron din mga companies na ina-apply lang nila is for their own processing plant lang. Yung mga factory lang nila. So for those company na merong sariling farms, so usually ang kasama rin mga vehicle na nagkakarga ng kanilang mga organic raw materials. So, ang kasama na doon yung mga delivery receipts, gate passes. So long as itong mga documents na to, may indication na ang daladala nila is indeed organic. Pero how about doon sa mga organic processors lang mismo? So, itong mga organic processors, meron silang mga external suppliers. So, ito yung mga in order for them to check na yung mga nare-receive nila from these external suppliers. So, ang una nilang titingnan dyan is if yung mga yung raw mats ba na nare-receive nila is in a safe packaging, in a covered packaging, covered vehicle ba. So, yun yung una. The receipt, reception for the organic raw mats. So, dapat yung raw mats is indeed safe. So, impermeable, nasa impermeable packaging siya. And then, next doon, syempre, ang pinaka-common din is dapat may indication or merong labels na itong na-receive nila na raw mats is indeed organic. So, dapat may mga organic references yan. So, may mga organic term dyan sa mga sa product name, yung mga na-receive nilang mga raw materials. And ang pinaka-powerful na document na kinakailangan nilang ma-receive from their suppliers is what we call the transaction certificates. So, these transaction certificates, so andun lahat yun. The quantity, the mass, the lot number. So, actually, transaction certificates are very, ito yung pinakamabigat na document na parating dapat nilang hinihingi sa kanilang mga organic suppliers. And of course, prior to it, dapat identified nila na itong mga organic suppliers has valid and authentic organic certificates. Then, next one is on storage. Isabay natin to, storage and processing. So, for this part, hindi kasi lahat ng mga clients are dedicated to organic. So, we have there are actually operators or there are companies that are handling both organic and conventional. Pero, paano sila nasa-certify? Though they are handling both organic and conventional, they do it by proper separation. So, it's either by place or by time. So, usually, pagdating sa processing, it is separation by type. Kasi it's either order basis siya, kung meron ba silang organic order, or batch-wise ba, batch-wise processing, like naka-schedule lang siya, let's say every Monday, organic lang. The rest of the days, conventional. And in between, so, actually, prior to organic processing, or let's say prior to organic storage, kung the same storage yung pinaglalagyan, there must be cleaning. So, dapat may proper cleaning, and dapat naka-record itong cleaning activity na ito. So, cleaning is actually one of the key features pagdating sa organic production, organic processing, and organic storage. And for the processing, so yeah, basic GMP, kinakailangan yan, and then there must be no use of irradiation. So, ano yung mga ginagamit for irradiation? So, they are using alpha, beta, and gamma rays, sometimes X-rays, for the purpose of eliminating pests and disease or any bacteria. So, pagdating sa organic processing, bawal po ito. Okay? And then, the next point is labeling and packing. So, there must be, so sa processing, of course, if we are referring to the activity itself for the labeling and packing, so it would be, there must be proper separation, should there be handling of both organic and conventional, and there must be a use of proper of logo and information. So each standard kasi may kanya-kanyang guidelines po yan. So kinakailangan din mag-study kung paano gagamitin itong mga indications na to, depende sa kung ano yung mga logos din na. And then of course, for dispatch and transport, dapat, of course, may proper separation din na. Kasi halimbawa, pag nagko-co-load lang, diba? So, dapat identifiable ang organic at all times. So, paano siya masiseparate from other loads? So, kinakailangan, sa packaging pa lang, impermeable siya. Hindi agad-agad na erase kung anong mga kung anong nakalagay sa label. So, yun. Yung packaging, yung labels, dapat identifiable siya. And then, yung coding. So, pagdating doon sa for dispatch, yun yung mga kinakailangang gawin. May proper separation, may proper identification, and dapat merong clear na data. And for the administration and documentation, ito yung mga key documents. Siyempre, pinaka-common dito yung traceability and mass balance. Kasama talaga yung dalawang yun. Since dapat na-identify siya from the buyer to the source. So, and of course, for the mass balance, kinakailangan kung ano yung paano ma-weigh yung input sa output. And then, for these records and for these documents, kinakailangan available ito during audit. Ito yung minimum lang ito. Minimum lang siya. So, processor agreement, ang CU, meron siyang format nito. So, pinifill out lang ng client, pinipirmahan, and must be available during the audit. Ito, pinaka-common to sa common dito ito. Cleaning and test monitoring records. Available dapat itong mga ito. And then, complaint handling procedure and records. OSP, yes. Ito yung na-mention natin kanina, Organic System Plan. So, the same sa farm level, kung ano yung reality, i-disclose. Pagdating din sa processing, ano yung reality, yun yung dapat i-disclose. I-disclose lahat dito. So, hindi pwedeng will be. So, kung ano yung ginagawa, kung ano yung practice, yun yung dapat i-reflect. Any plans plans in the future, hindi pa siya applicable dito. Okay? So, this one must always reflect the reality. And kasama sa OSP, So, ito mga, dapat nasa annexes ito eh. During submission of organic system plan, dapat kasama niya itong other documents ito. Syempre, pag scientific processing, it would refer always to products. So, products that are being applied for certification. So, dapat nakalagay doon is yung process flow chart. So, paano na manufacture itong mga products ito. The factory layout, the recipe. So, kailangan i-disclose yung proper recipe date. And then, as mentioned kanina, kung ano ba kung merong external suppliers for these particular ingredients, dapat available yung scope certificates ng mga suppliers. So, and then, pag halimbawa merong use ng food additives, processing aids, and flavors, available dapat ang technical data sheets. And for the cleaning agents, pest control agents, dapat available ang mga safety data sheets. And of course, halimbawa kung meron ng transactions, yung mga transaction na existing client niya. So, dapat nakakip ng mga records relevant to the transaction certificates and certificate of inspection if merong transaction with regards to the EU member. So, yeah, those were the general requirements for organic products.
So thank you, Gwen, for that discussion. And since now we know that our prospect client or our prospect farmers and also companies, what should they do on what to comply, but they are also willing to invest on this certification, but they would also like to know, Sunera, like what are the advantages of getting organic certification?
Yes, I think from the beginning, Dr. Mohatti was also explaining like why people should go for organic, and since this is like being demanded all over the globe, there's a steady market actually. Even during this pandemic, like everything was sort of hampered, most of the businesses, but still like the food production was never hampered, and even the demand for the organic products is still there. So obviously, due to this immense demand from the international market, obviously there will be a premium price for the organic products. So whenever you whenever you export, you will probably get a premium price. And also not just the price, for some of the markets, especially like in Europe, now being certified, actually it's sort of a prerequisite. It's becoming a prerequisite to enter into that market. So it is sort of a must now. Yeah, I mean obviously like exporting will bring a lot of foreign revenue to the country. So in terms of country-wise economy as well, like you are contributing in that way. And other than that, I think as I said, like Dr. Mohatti was also explaining like how this will benefit, like not just economically, but also to the mother nature, to our soil, to our ecosystem, to protect our waters. So how this will help as a whole is also really like important.
Okay, so thank you, Sunera. So after reading some of your questions here on comment box, I saw Melchor Gabwa asked this: saan kami a-apply dito sa Palawan? So sir, you can apply us in Control Union even if you're in Palawan. The next topic I'm discussing will be about how you can apply for organic certification. So in organic certification, we have two parts: the certification and the contracting and the certification part. On the contracting, we will like for the information exchange wherein you and me or you would like to apply, and then you will ask me on what we can offer to you, and then how much it will cost, and what are the standards we can offer. And then during that information exchange, we will send you an application, and then once signed, we will now review if you're qualified for organic certification how much it will take to get certified based on the information you will be indicated here. And then once we already review it, and then you can now send it to, we will now send you the formal offer letter. Once the offer letter, if you agree to on our offer letter, you will need to revert us the signed offer, and then we will contract you, and then we will send you the confirmation of registration indicating that you're already contracted by control union. And then for the contracting, once we will send you an invoice, and then for you to make a payment. Once payment, or during the payment or the invoice processing, we will send you the OSP, the critical documents like OSP, like Miss Gwen told earlier. And then once it after the payment received, we will now plan the audit. So even you're in Palawan, or you can send your application to us, and then even your Palawan and you are here in Taguig and we also have Davao office, our auditor can go there to your place to inspect your farms or processing unit. And then during the audit, we will do an on-site audit, and then during the on-site audit, we will check the documents like what Miss Gwen discussed earlier, and then after that, we will do the audit reporting. On the audit reporting, we will check all of the inspection results that we gather during the on-site audit. Once the audit reporting is okay, then we will now issue the certification. But please be advised that from on-site audit, certification, release of certification will take about 4 to 6 weeks. If there are non-conformities raised during the audit. But if there are non-conformity, you need to close it before we count the 4 to 6 weeks. So for the contracting and certification, it also varies like around 2 to 3 months to get certified. In 2 to 3 months, if there will be no like disturbances or any you have like a contracting to there's no delay. And also after the certification, there's also transaction certificate. This transaction certificate you will be given to your buyer who to said that those products are certified. And then if after certification, if there are like appeals on complaints, and also updates if there are some updates on your farms. So that's the contracting or certification, how you get certified under control union. And also have a question earlier, what are the certifying body in the Philippines? Actually, we are certifying body, so for organic under PNS and other organic standards or international standards. So you can, if you're interested, you can apply to us. So since you're the contracting, you know how to apply, but I know you're still worried about if you're qualified to get certified, or are you prepared? And then you are maybe Sonara, can you tell us what control union can offer to them to give them advice or some trainings for getting organic certification?
Yes, Lani. So if we watch like from the beginning, like we discuss all the certification requirements. So actually getting certified is not that easy, right? I mean,
Yes.
it has you have to comply with the international regulation and the requirements.
Yeah.
So getting to be certified, you have to fulfill and you have to comply with all these requirements. So as a third-party certification body, actually Control Union, we what we do in here is doing the inspections independently. So because of that, we will not directly get involved in like consultation or training, but still we can recommend you, like we can guide you, so that our sister companies like Peterson Projects and Solutions as well as Control Union Academy will be able to help you to go extra mile to arrange the public training, so personalized trainings, or even like personalized consultation work as well.
Okay. So aside from consultations and also trainings, is there any other services control union can offer to them?
Yes, of course. So control union actually we consider as a one-stop shop. That we call that because under one roof of this certification house, you can get various services, trainings, inspections, and also certifications under various different international standards. Like today, we were discussing mainly about the organic standards. So, like we already heard about European organic, NOP, Japanese, Korean standards, and also private standards like BioSuisse, Naturland, Craft. So we heard about these standards mainly today. But other than that, like the agricultural standards like good agricultural practices, global gap. We also do like woods and rainforest alliance certification here in Philippines, especially like food safety, also a big thing in Philippines where there's a high demand. Probably you have heard about these international standards like BRC, HACCP, ISO 22000, GMP, and also like sustainability related standards like RSPO, RTRS are like also offered here in Philippines. And also textiles. So mainly today we talked about organic food, but textiles also can be organic. Like OCS, GOTS are also offered here in Philippines related to organic, as well as recycling standards like GRS, RCS are also like offered under the textile department here in Control Philippines. Also social. So the social certification standards also is demanding in the globe. Like if someone is certified for fair trade or something related to fair, then they have a big demand in the international market. So we offer this fair TSA, fair trade USA, as well as private standards like SMETA from SEDEX, and also Global Gap GRASP, all these in Philippines. And biofuel and biomass related standards like GGL and ISCC also are offered in here. And in terms of forestry, there are various sustainable marks like FSC and PFC. Probably have seen like in sustainably produced papers, like how in sustainably harvested that those been made in such a way. So we offer these as well here in Philippines. And various other environmental related certifications like carbon footprinting, carbon neutralization, and also water footprinting. So these are also like being issued. And aquaculture related standards, especially like world renowned MSC standard as well as Global Gap and EU aquaculture are also like issued by Control Union. And there are actually various other standards. We will not be able to list down all the standards for you, but still like the standards like Cosmos and GSTC are like in demand. And also like special food safety related regulations or standards like vegan, gluten-free, and non-GMO are also like demanded these days. And not just certification, actually Control Union Philippines offer the inspection services as well, like in terms of commodity inspections and industrial inspections. We do sampling and contractual sealing, and also we do pre-shipment inspections and empty container inspections, laboratory services. Also like we also have these under our inspection portfolio. So once you are certified, you will be needing these services as well in order to complete your journey of exporting the preciously produced organic goods.
Okay, so thank you, Sunera. So right now we will moving forward to our question and A portion. So since we're running out of time, we will only accommodate few of your questions in the comment box. So first, I have saw this comment from James Calapacha Usi. What are the main organic markets in the Philippines? So maybe it would be great to my pleasure to answer this question. The main organic standards that we've been applying here in the Philippines are especially PNS. PNS are being promoted right now. EU, PNS is for Philippines. EU organic is for European countries. And then NOP, USDA NOP, this is for the US and also Canada and also other countries here in Asia and also like Australia and New Zealand. And we also have just for Japan or for the Japan who would like to export their organic products to Japan. But please advise that these organic markets are before you apply for these organic markets, please make sure that your buyer would like to require from you, because some of our there are some buyers that are like, for example, they are located in US and then they were requiring you to have like an organic EU product certified, because those organic buyer is processing those products to be exported also to Europe. So please advise that make sure to ask your market or study the market that you would like to enter before applying to organic certificate. And I also have this question from Miss Joanna. There are any legal documents that they need to apply, need to submit during the application? Maybe Sunera, you can
during the application
answer.
phase.
Yes, during the application phase.
Yes, of course, when someone is sending the initial application or for renewal, it could be you have to provide various documents, of course there's the application form, and along with the application form you have to provide the business registration, so that only the registered businesses can get certified actually. So you have to provide that legal document related to business registration as well, along with the application. Also, if you are applying for a farm certification, then you have to also send documents related to the farm agreements that the farmers or the owner has to agree to receive the inspection. So there's a format for that as well, farm agreement, and as well as the farm maps also you have to send along with this application. And also you have to make sure these farm maps are real ones and not legally legal ones. And also if you are applying for wild collection, a natural collection, then in such cases also a lot of legal documents will get involved, if you are collecting from a conservation area, so then of course the government must approve for such collection. And even if you are collecting from your own private land, still you need to get some approval from the local government that you are not exploiting the natural resources or that particular ecosystem. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Sunera. So we will move forward to another question. I think we will accommodate two or three questions. So how to first is from Brian Hang, how to apply in Zamboanga. Like what I said earlier, in Palawan, and then even you're in Zamboanga or any part of the country and even part of the world, you can send us an email of inquiry through our website, or you can also call us, or in our Facebook, you can chat us on our Facebook page about your inquiry about certification, and then we will revert to you about on how to get certified with us, with the Control Union. So another question is, how do you conduct organic inspection audit during this pandemic? So, Sunaran, as a lead auditor, how do you conduct organic inspection or audit during this pandemic?
Yeah, that is also a timely question. Due to the pandemic, everything was affected, and we all were hampered due to the pandemic, and everything was negatively affected. Even the certification process also was affected, because it's a requirement under the regulations that we annually physically visit the on-site. It could be farm or it could be the processing unit, in order to check and verify the actual the happenings. But due to these travel restrictions and quarantine requirements, like this physical visiting is the one which is actually affected. But still, like the international regulatory bodies, the standard owners, as well as the accreditation bodies, has come up with some solutions, to cope up with the current ongoing situation. One such method is like extension of the certification. Like, even though usually a certificate is valid only for 1 year, until the travel restrictions being eased out, like most of the standard owners and the regulators allow a certain period of time for an extension of the certificate. And also, like they have allowed to some extent to conduct audits remotely, so without visiting on site. So if the ICT or the connectivity is there, then we can after a proper risk assessment, we can conduct remote audits as well in most of the cases.
Okay, so thank you, Senera. Actually, you already answered the question of Sir Ludi Alsong. How many years po ang validity, if meron na validity? For e-organic, 1 year have a validity, and for JAS and NOP, and there's a novel expiration. You just only need to do a yearly inspection to know that if your farm is compliant to the standards. And also, the last one question that we can answer is like another question from Miss Joanna on I meant legal document like land title during the inspection. Do you also need to give it just a proof, like
of course. You have to prove the ownership of your land. That's why, as I said in the beginning, like it's also could be one document, one legal document related to the farm agreement, because only the owner of the land will be able to sign that, agreeing to the inspections and agreeing to the organic practices. So of course, then first we have to prove the ownership of the land in order to get certified. If you are individual farm, but if you are like managing a group of farmers through an ICS, then individually you have to collect all such legal documents.
Okay. So thank you, Senera. So I would like to, so I think this will end our Q&A portion and also public forum. I would like to thank all of our guest participants and also our team behind the camera, and also the audience who are watching the forum today. And then I would also like to request for you to like our page and subscribe, and also you also need to follow these pages, because there's a lot of webinars coming up next after this webinar. And also you can email us and also us on this information on your screen. And you can also visit our website www.controlunion.com for more information. So guys, that would be all. Thank you. Bye.